Hey guys, what's up? So, I've had a lot of people call me crazy because they tell me that I look big, I look ripped, I look amazing. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, part of my dysmorphia really makes me tell them that I think that they're just being nice to me. But in reality, it kind of comes into play here when we come to Instagram. Instagram is one of the quote unquote fakest platforms out there. And that's because even when you upload a picture, and if you're like, I've done it, I have done it. But if you're like a lot of people, you take several pictures in the mirror to really emphasize a certain body part, maybe a few body parts, and you get the best lighting, whatever, take like 20, 30 pictures, and then you pick the best one, and then you upload it to Instagram. Before you upload, you have the option of different filters and different looks overly all on the picture. So Instagram is one of the fakest, and it's a good way for people to not just filter, but to Photoshop pictures to look a certain way so that they can monetize their platform and give you very likely false information. I will not name names. I've got plenty of them, but I will not name names because I do not wish to personally throw anyone under the bus. But I hope that they are not being shady about business and selling people short on what they can achieve naturally. And that's what it comes down to, is what you can achieve naturally. So, amongst many of those people, and I've had a lot of people in the last couple of years tell me, how big I look, how ripped I look, etc. But and again, I do have dysmorphia, but it only goes so far. So, why am I making this video? It comes down to one major role. I always joke with people that 20 minutes after I leave the gym, my pump is gone. The pump, where you're getting that inflammation in the muscle tissue to make it look just, great, insane. That's how we all always want to look. But we've all seen those memes where we miss 1 or 2 days of training and then we feel very emaciated and skinny and small and weak. Well, that's how a lot of us, well, maybe some, maybe it's just my genetics. Maybe a lot of you are gifted and you keep your size, or some of it at least. I'm not so lucky. I leave the gym and then 20 minutes later it's all gone. I feel like I put on 10, sometimes maybe 15 pounds while I'm training. I mean, granted, most of it's going to be from all the water and the Powerade that I'm drinking to stay hydrated, but that's to, make sure that I'm getting the most out of my workout. But I'm one of those types that I leave the gym and 20 minutes later, it's gone. I could, I remember one time I posted 2 pictures, I believe it was, a couple of years ago. I was in a Nike tank top. I was flexing my bicep as hard as I could to try and get the peak looking good. And then I got a side shot of my tricep trying to make it extend outward and look like that horseshoe that everybody talks about. And I did pretty decently, I would say, because I believe the post got over 20 likes, and that's not much, but remember, I'm just a local guy. I know people, but I'm a local guy. So I thought that for a guy who has a social circle like this, compared to everyone else's who was like this, can't even fit inside my arms, but I thought it was pretty impressive for a guy whose social circle is so dim. And, that's for professional reasons, basically because I work so much. So, with that, someone saw me about 40 minutes later when I was at the store shopping for dinner, and they were just like, whoa, what happened? You look so big in that picture. Did you Photoshop it? And I'm like, no. The pump just wore off, and so now I'm going back down to spaghetti string arms. That's just how it works, That's quite a few of us. Why am I coming out and saying it? I mean, I know I said in my video last night that I want to be as straightforward with you guys as possible, and that's part of it, but the biggest reason that I'm making this video is so that you guys do not become accustomed to social media, primarily Instagram conditioning. You can't, there's only so far you can go. That big, full muscle tissue, it can't be a constant thing. There's just no way, not unless you're a competitive bodybuilder. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like I love bodybuilding, but I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not even a men's physique competitor. I would never want to compete in that stuff. But that fullness just can't stay around all the time. It's just not a thing. And it sounds disappointing, but it's just that reality that most of us should come to expect. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, my first 6 months were, they were hell. I always tell people, if you can make it past the first 6 months of training and eating the right way, then you're on your way to magic. You know, just stick with it, and you know it eventually just becomes habit, ritual. You know, just what you do. So that first 6 months, the newbie gains were crazy. They were great. I mean, sure, my numbers were decent, but you know, I was really packing on a decent amount of size. Granted, it probably wasn't all clean size, but it was good. And now, I mean, I've gotten a little bit bigger, but that's because I started eating nothing but whole food from 2016 all the way up until now, and I'm eating, you know, roughly 6,000 calories, you know, 4 times a week. So that's where most of that comes from. But kid you not, 20 minutes after I leave the gym, I can go from to It's just how it happens. It really sucks. I didn't want to believe that was the reality, but you know, that's my genetic natural limit. So once you come to accept these things, it makes things easier. And just like Jeff Cavalier of Athlean X said, just because a certain thing is a weakness in your physique or in your training, it does not mean you should not train it. It should still be developed. Which, you know, makes me a hypocrite because I don't do traps or forearms or calves. I just feel like those are, you know, a bit more on the aesthetic side of things. And don't get me wrong, I know that they all aid one way or another to, you know, the big three, but I just personally don't really get into the smaller muscle groups, so I don't really train those. I feel like they're more of an aesthetic thing. Anyway, just thought I would make this video so that you guys can see that it's just me being real again. And yes, again, I have filtered my own photos. I have not photoshopped, though. I do not know how to Photoshop. I'm not a super duper whiz with all the editing, but I don't know how to Photoshop, and I stopped filtering just because I felt like I was, you know, trying to make myself look better than I really was, and I didn't want to do that. And my platform is not even monetized. I just wanted to be honest. So what you see is what you get. Well, with me anyway. I can't speak for everybody else, nor do I wish to, but I'm typically in the same condition all year round. So I've always got decent abs, and I've always got typically the same muscle fullness, and my numbers are always good. So that's my simple goal. And with this video, don't believe everything you see on Instagram. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.